presentation mode. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So the reason that I chose this title because I got a lot of questions about, hey, I mean, there are so many AI tools. Which one should we use? So we mentioned M365 Copilot, Copilot Studio, Azure AI Foundry, and I also put Windows AI Foundry. If we have time, I will also talk about that. That's the local AI. So you don't have to run these agents or build these agents in cloud. This is completely in local. So in local level, you have access to AI APIs. So let's go ahead and start. So the agenda will be why agents matter now, because there's a lot of confusion around Gen AI agents, why we need them. So we will talk about that. Then we will do a little tour, and I will also do a little bit demo for each tool so you can see. And then at the end of each tool, we will also talk about when and why use each tool. So a little bit about myself. I am an AI architect, and my day-to-day job is building AI agents, training admins, and basically engaging with Power Platform with our customers. And fun fact about me, like 5 years ago, I had no coding experience. And Power Platform just empowered me to learn this technology and come to this so far. And as I said, now my day-to-day job is building agents using different tools. So this is a great career path if you are interested in. So Power Platform is a great place to start. I want to open up our conversation with a great quote from Peter Drucker. Knowledge is the source of wealth. Applied to tasks we already know, it becomes productivity. Applied to tasks that are new, it becomes innovation. So I hope by the end of this session, you will have something new so that you can apply it to your real day-to-day work. So let's first understand agents, because you hear a lot. So AI agents are basically software applications. Instead of using hard-coded logic, it uses large language models to think, act, plan, and etc. So if you look at here, let's say you use ChatGPT, Copilot, or any Gen AI tool. So they basically use large language models to process your prompts. But if you ask ChatGPT, hey, send me an email to me. Hey, just create this item in my database. It will not unless you bring those tools inside the agent, right? Or ChatGPT. So that's why by building agents, we are extending large language models capability to access to certain tools. One tool would be Outlook. The other tool would be SharePoint. These are basically APIs that connects to LLM with their endpoints. And you give it your own enterprise knowledge. So if you go to ChatGPT today or Copilot and ask, hey, look at my calendar, how many meetings I have, it will not generate any results unless you provide it in your prompt or in your file. So that's why connecting with your data, it's very important for LLM so that it can create right context or content for you. And also the instructions. So LLM has its own way of acting because it has a lot of data and it has a lot of parameters, right? So that's why we are scoping LLM with certain instructions as well as knowledge so that LLM can have better understanding of our use case. So in a nutshell, like this is the real purpose of agents. And these agents, you will see like there are a lot of agents, but in a core, there are multiple core components of these agents. The first one is obviously foundational models. These are the large language models. Let's say in Copilot Studio, you have GPT-4o, GPT-5, and other models. So these are the main engine enables agents to take action. Then you have access to tools, and tools, as I said, when you interact with agent, you would say, hey, give me the list of all the items from SharePoint. It would give it to you, and you would say, hey, go ahead and update these items for me. So that would use certain tool to update the SharePoint list for you. The other one is the knowledge. As I said, LLMs now has access to its own pre-trained data, and sometimes, it's old, outdated. And also it has access to web with Bing search in Copilot. So, but sometimes it's really hard for LLM to process your request queries if you don't provide the knowledge. So that's the main purpose of knowledge. This can be static knowledge from your desktop or dynamic knowledge that can be from your SharePoint, OneDrive, or any comprehensive data sources like Snowflake, Azure Databricks, etc. So autonomy. So not all the agents needs as like full autonomy, but in this case, you give ability to agent to act, to plan, to implement the steps based on your instructions. So you don't have to all the time to check and follow. So you give the agent autonomy so that it basically do the work on behalf of you. An orchestrator, so this sits on top of any agents to decide, okay, when I need to use certain tools, when I need to look at certain knowledge, because you give a lot of tools knowledge that's basically going to context engineering level, so that agent needs to understand. And user experience, this is optional. The reason it's optional, the agent that you might build, it's just autonomous. You don't need the users interact with it. It will be triggered by external events. And if you build chat-based agents, then you need to have UI that can be any Teams channels, that can be your own websites, and so on. And spectrum of agents, you probably have seen this. So basically, there are retrieval agents, task agents, and autonomous agents. And retrieval agents, I know like it's in the simple category, but not all the time it's simple. The reason, let's say you have a structured data in Snowflake. Retrieving data from there, it's not easy. You might need Azure AI search and so on. So retrieval can be very tricky. But the foundation for retrieval agent, you connect to your data source, and users interact with your data sources via prompts, which is natural language. The other one is task. As I mentioned, like task-based agent, you say that, hey, I need a laptop. Please go ahead and find the available laptops for me. And if it is available, then I need to submit a request. And then agent will follow those certain steps. And autonomous agents, this, as you guessed, triggered by certain external events. For example, someone sends an email, or there is a new data entry in the database, etc. So it depends on the complexity. Typically, what I see from organizations, they start with retrieval agents because that's a low-hanging fruit, but it also helps this organization to understand their data lifecycle, understand the security layer, basically rolling out in staged manner. And then once they see that, oh, okay, they are ready, they move to task, and then at the end, autonomous. So why agents matter? I mean, explosion of enterprise data. How many data we have? I mean, in this age, I don't think we have that much data problem. We have a lot of data problems. So that's the main issue. So during the day, how many times we need to open different apps, different databases to get the data we need. So all this complicates our daily work life. So building agents can be really easy because we are going to interact with the agent using natural language. So we don't have to write SQL queries. We don't have to go to databases, filter. So all natural language not only retrieves data, but also can give us the insights based on the data. So it's not like raw data retrieval. Hey, give me the list of these people. Okay. It can give like list of the tasks from project management, right? But you can also kind of fine tune your instructions in the agent saying that, can you tell me like, what does it mean? how we can interpret data. So that's where agent can help. And the other one is integration across tools. If you go to Copilot Studio today, you have different AI builder prompts, you have agentic flows, you can build your own custom connector, you can bring REST API, and there are other more different like protocols like agent to agent, model context protocol. This enables us to connect to many data sources. So if we look at here, what we see Microsoft AI solutions. So if you have M365 Copilot license today, you can go ahead and use it in Excel, Word, Teams, etc. But sometimes it's too vague. You want to limit those answers to certain knowledge sources, certain actions. That's where you would extend M365 Copilot. And this is basically your productivity AI. The other one is Microsoft Copilot Studio. So this is end-to-end AI solutions to build low-code agents. And there are multiple ways to build. The popular way, you go to Copilot Studio, but you can also do that in Visual Studio Code and so on. So this is more like department and in some cases enterprise-grade agents. Now we have Azure AI Foundry as well. This is a platform as a service. It not only enables you develop agents, but it gives you also the infrastructure, which is very important. Let's say Azure AI services, you need this. Let's say you want to deploy Azure AI Vision, it's there. So you don't have to take care about the infrastructure because it's there. And the last one is Windows AI Foundry. So all of these first three solutions are cloud-based solutions. So to use them, you need to have basically cloud resources to use. But Windows AI Foundry, you need Windows 11 Copilot PC, and you have these built-in AI APIs available in your platform, in your device, so that you can apply these AI-powered features to your Windows apps. So let's start with Copilot Studio Lite. So this is the name Microsoft just changed yesterday. Until yesterday, it used to call Copilot Studio Agent Builder, but it's now Copilot Lite. And it's basically a light way of building agents using some functionality of Copilot Studio inside M365 Copilot. And let's go ahead and show this. So I'm in M365 Copilot app right now. So what you see here, you see like different app components like search, chat, etc. So I have built one agent, that's Jira agent. So I basically enable Jira Cloud Connector, comes to M365. So here I can simply ask, for example, what's the current status of Copilot Studio agents in Jira? If I click, this will go ahead and look at the Jira project that I have in my Jira board, and it will create the answer for me. So you can see in a nice way, it created the table, issue key, title, status, assignee. So you can see all this information here with the citations available. And it also gives the summary. So as you can see, like, which one would you prefer, to get the raw data or insights? So this is my ways. And if I click here, this will take me to Jira as well. I can see it. So it's very powerful. And the most importantly, why it's powerful, it enables anyone to build agents. And here I can ask another question, create a chart showing task status. Let's say to do in gray, in progress in orange, and done in green color. So for this agent, I enabled code interpreter, and it will go ahead and use that. And we will look at the backend as well. So as you can see, as a business user, so you can easily create custom declarative agents for you. So you can see it here. So it created this. And from here, if you are in project management, let's say, if you click editing page, now this is going to be your report. You can share with your team. You can share with your boss or manager. So, and you can open in Word and share with others. So this is very powerful, especially considering that you don't use any code. And if I look at the backend, it's super easy because first of all, we can build this agent by typing, our instructions here. It's all natural language. And if I go to configuration tab, so I give my agent a name, icon, persona, that's the description. I give it instructions. So instructions, that's the main, one of the key components of any agent, because that basically determines the agent behavior. And if you look at the knowledge source, what I can do, I can bring data from my files. I can bring data from my SharePoint sites, folders, external websites, even Teams chat, group chats, channels, meeting chats. So you see, you tailor your responses. But one thing I did here, I connected to Jira Cloud. So this is like admin level work. So your admin would go to M365 center and would enable this. There is some setup here. I actually made the video you will see on Saturday if you are interested in. And the good thing about this, I can connect to entire Jira, or I can select a certain projects from here. So when the agent generates the responses, it looks at the certain projects, not all the projects. So, and the capabilities, I enabled code interpreter. So that uses the Python to generate the runtime code, to generate the chart. And the charts there, I want to be careful. It's in image format. It's not dynamic. Hopefully we will see that in the future. And there are some starter prompts so that we can guide our users. So this is it. This is like, as a business user, that's all you need. You have a business problem, you understand the vision you have, and then use this tool, extend. And then you can share this with, you can keep this only for yourself, for certain users. This can be users or groups or anyone in your organization. One thing that you need to keep in mind, anytime you share your agent with others, you need to share the underlying data sources as well. Otherwise, the agent will work for them, but it will not generate the answers grounded on those files if they don't have access to them. So this is basically the M365 Copilot extension. And let me continue here. And there are also other ways to build this. So the one that I showed to you, it was the Copilot Lite experience, or previously known as Agent Builder. You can extend this in Copilot Studio as well. That gives you additional capability, which is adding some tools, which is great. But you need to go to Copilot. But there is also professional pro code development tool. You can use Visual Studio Code. You can install M365 Agent SDK, and then you write the code to develop it. So, and when and why to use declarative agents? So, scenario that requires focus and specialization. So in this case, I didn't want to go to Jira. I wanted to get the answers right inside M365, not in a raw format, but in more insights format. I want agent to interpret the data for me, so I don't have to think about it. How can I interpret it? That's a simple use case, but we might have more complex use cases, and you will see the real business value of agent. Layer on top of the full capability of Microsoft 365 Copilot. So this is very important because you don't have to think about which model I need to choose, what's the orchestration layer. It's everything is there defined for you. All you need, the business problem, and of course, M365 Copilot license. The other one, target specific roles and areas in organization. So now you're moving to more teams or department level. So you have an HR, you can have an HR agent where people can go ahead and ask questions about what's the time of request process, what's the vacation request, what's the like employee benefits. Instead of you go to SharePoint all the time to look for and interpret those information, agent would ground your prompts on that and generate the insights. The other one, scope to specific data sources. As I said, like if you go to Copilot today, unless you specifically provide data source, it will look at entire Microsoft graph to find the relevant information. And sometimes you're like, I don't want it. I want just answer from this specific file. So that's where agent would be beneficial. And also domain knowledge to enable nuanced interpretation of data received from sources like plugins. So in this case, the instructions that I provided in the agent level helped me and the agent to get the answers in a format that I want. So that's where you would use agents. Awesome. So let me go ahead and start with Copilot Studio. So this is the primary tool I use to build agents, and it's basically end-to-end conversational AI platform to design, develop, and deploy your agentic AI solutions. I specifically say solutions because it's part of the Power App solution. Because in one agent, you can have multiple agentic flows, tools, that's all compiled in a single solution. So you can implement the ALM. And so let me do some demo for this as well. So right now I am in Copilot Studio. So there are some similarities here. If I click new agent, I'm not creating agent, but I want to show how it is easy. So this is a unified interface, both in M365 Copilot extension and here. So you get two options here. You can either describe the agent purpose in natural language and it creates the system instructions for you, or you can just configure and bring your own custom prompts here so that agent can use them. So I'm going to go back. So I chose this one, Contoso Help Desk agent, because this is part of Copilot Studio Academy. I heavily recommend you go ahead and start that journey because it's fantastic. And you can see here, if I look at the overview tab, same thing, the name, and I give my agent a persona, assist users with IT issues by prioritizing urgent requests. And we talked about orchestration. This, again, determines the best course of action based on instructions we put here. So you can see, and also instructions we put in the knowledge level, in the tools level, so that our agent can understand them. And here what we see, like agent model GPT-4o, this is the underlying general purpose model. It works with text to speech, speech to text, image generation, file, etc. So this is good. You have the ability to change the underlying model if you want. It's not as robust as Azure AI Foundry, but you can change or you can bring a custom model from Azure AI Foundry. And here is the instructions. You see what I do typically. This is probably the most important part of agent development, your instructions. When I start, I actually start just line by line. First thing I do, like I add one instruction here and test it. Then I add another instruction and I test it. So there are two testing here. Both I do unit testing to make sure it works, and I also do the system level testing to make sure that all the components works harmoniously in this agent. And I start with typically adding a knowledge. If you look at here, I have multiple knowledge sources. So this agent completely turned on using pre-trained data. It uses data from only the files that I provide. So if I go ahead and ask, for example, I have a VPN issue, and I will turn this on, the agent will look at the sources. It's now doing the ranking. So it's scanning all this information to make sure that it finds the right information. And here we are, we get the answers from here. So if you look at here, there is frequent asked questions, and there is VPN connection, and all these files are here. It's not from internet. I mean, there is obviously a website here, but it's not from the general internet. So this is the knowledge piece. Other piece is the tools. Again, for example, in this case, whenever someone sends an email, submit a ticket, that will trigger email to the sender saying that we received your ticket, we will be working on that. The other thing here, if I do like, let's say I need a laptop, this will look at the topics that I created, and topics are basically conversational passes. Based on the user utterance, it decides which topic to trigger. And here you can see this information, and this is the custom topic. In this topic, I say this topic helps users find devices that are available from our SharePoint device list. So as you can see, I define everything. So that's the key thing in agent. You would define everything: your knowledge sources, your system instructions, your tools, your triggers, and that helps LLM to decide the best course of action. And once I also determine the topic level inputs. For example, since I said a laptop, the agent would take that information and add that inside the variable so that we can use throughout the agent interaction. And here I'm dynamically fill best option. I don't have to write any formula or anything. So you can say agent decides, okay, the user needs laptop. This is the information I need to put it here. So you decide inputs and I decide also outputs here. So I want to see the format in a table format, and you can see here, this is coming from this SharePoint list. So as you can see, we have only 2 laptops available, and same thing here. And this is the tool, another tool I use within topics. So you can use topics like separately, or you can use in topics. The good thing that using within topics, it's going to be sequential. So the agent, once the topic triggered, agent will look at all the activities within those topic and implement them accordingly. So, and if I say, for example, yes, this will trigger another topic, and that topic is, this topic helps users request a device when they answer yes to the question that asks the user if they would like to request one of these devices. And this is adaptive card. And if you look at the adaptive card, there is JSON object, but also you can add, if you can change this to formula card so that you can pass the dynamic value to your adaptive card. So you don't have to limit it to static values. And if I select here, let's say Surface laptop, I can add information. This is urgent. And I can submit request. And after this adaptive card, what you see, thanks to some sign-off, you selected device, Surface Laptop 13 has been submitted and will be reviewed by your manager. So, and then it takes me to another end of conversation topic where I can provide the feedback. So as you can see, like what we can do in single agent. So we have also agentic flow in this. An agentic flow, instead of agent to decide or basically take action by itself, the agentic flows will, it's more deterministic. So you set the rules when it should be triggered, and agent will follow that. In one agent, you see like the capabilities. Let me take you to agent again and look at other capabilities. So we define the overview page, what you would see. The knowledge page, you can add different knowledge sources, and it's called knowledge sources because your data sources can be structured and unstructured. That's why it's a knowledge source. And if you click add knowledge, you will see a lot of options here. But if you click advanced, now you can see the other data sources as well. So But that's not limited. If you go to tools, you can also bring tools within, let's say, implementing Power Automate agentic flows as well. So the agents, it's another good concept. This is one of the protocols where you can interact with either other agents. This can be your children agents. Like in ideal scenario, like as a best practice, you wouldn't build giant agent with a lot of topics, a lot of knowledge sources. You would basically create like simple agents, and you would have one orchestrator to trigger the children agents based on the prompts. And you can either create children agents, or you can connect these different Copilot Studio agents, but make sure that you are in the same environment. And you can also bring fabric data agents. This is another cool concept. You don't see the other capabilities here. There is one where you can connect to agents in Azure AI Foundry, and the other one is connecting to agents that developed via Microsoft 365 Agent SDK. So, and the topics we defined, like these are the two topics I created. One, the user can ask, okay, I want to see the available devices. And the second one is the request device. So a person can see the list of devices. You might be asking, hey, there is a way actually I can connect to SharePoint list? Yes, but I found that it's kind of less reliable than using this specific tool. And if we go to activity tab, what you're gonna see, all the agent instructions that you see here, like some of them are canceled here. I don't know why, maybe I'm missing some information, but if I go to automated part, this is triggered by the agent. So for example, here is the description, here is the trigger input, and another thing here, you can see the rationale. So for responsible AI, this is very important. You need to understand why agent decides this kind of action. And analytics will be really important if you developed and deploy this for different organizations, because they want to see the different KPIs. Since this is autonomous, I can actually add savings, and savings can be per run and savings per tool, etc. And if I go to channels, you can see different channels. I can make this available to M365 channels, SharePoint, and like other external services like Slack, WhatsApp, and so on. So you see, like, you get a lot of capabilities using Copilot Studio. So let me come back here and let's see. Right. So when and why use Copilot Studio? So create custom copilots for unique business needs. So this is a little different than the knowledge retrieval. And in this scenario, you saw like people would be able to request a laptop. Not only information, but they can also fill out, hey, I need this laptop, and that would trigger the process for laptop approval. The other one, choose different AI models. Like right now in M365 Copilot extension, you don't have that capability. Whatever the LLM model available, you can only use that. In fact, you don't see that because you don't have no way of customizing that. But here you have some option to choose different LLMs. Again, it's not like thousands, but there are like few. But if you want, you can bring some LLM models via prompt action or Azure AI Foundry. So automate workflows and processes. So as you can see, we added agentic flow there. When the customer requests, that would start the the workflow, basically taking the user inputs and sending that to manager approval. Integrate with external systems and APIs. So at some level, we can do that in M365 as well, but here we have a lot of capabilities. Like, it's not limited to certain Microsoft Graph, but it's basically available to most of the Power Platform connectors, and even you can create your own custom API as well. and orchestrate multiple agents to handle complex distributed workflows. And this is a little different because you can build multiple agents, and those agents can interact with each other if you create that agent-to-agent protocol. So, and the use case I showed you, it's very simple, but if you look at some HR related architecture here, you see like you can do really cool agents. And the one agent could be like HR recruitment team, HR hiring, like all these different teams can use the same agent, and triggered by the user query that would fetch data from Power Platform connectors, Microsoft Graph, and then trigger one or two tools and take action. So all this capabilities available. So that's why if you really want to build agents that for enterprise level, for department level, you would go to Copilot Studio. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask as well. I want to be respectful of your time as well. If not, we will move to Azure AI Foundry. Nilfer, do you see any questions in the chat?
No questions. I think we can continue.
Awesome. So let's go to Azure AI Foundry now. So unlike Copilot Studio and M365 Copilot extension, this is not SaaS tool. This is platform as a service, meaning that it not only gives you ability to develop agents, but it also gives you like infrastructure. So you don't have to, take care of that process by yourself, which is very expensive. So this offers a lot of capabilities. Some of the capabilities you can see in Copilot Studio as well, but these are more robust. Like in Copilot Studio, you can't do fine tuning, but in Azure AI Foundry, you can actually open large language model and train it with your own custom data. I have done that once to basically help the agent to have certain behavior and certain data set for specific use cases. But in ideal scenario, like you wouldn't fine-tune the model that much because it's costly process. So now let's go to Azure AI Foundry. So in Azure AI Foundry, you can create hub. This is basically take care of all the services, infrastructure, and you can also create the projects. Like think of like this is dedicated solution if we compare it with Copilot Studio solutions. The first thing you will see here, let's go to full model catalog. In the full model catalog, you have access to more than 11,000 large language models. There are models from DeepSeek, there are models from OpenAI, there are models from Microsoft like Phi models, Mistra, and so on. And typically when you build like very, I would say, mission critical agents, selecting the right LLM matters a lot, because here I can compare models to understand their capabilities. I can select model to compare, and I can look at the tasks that I need. For example, in this like O3 Llama, O3 Mini, V4, I'm looking for question answering, math, general knowledge, reasoning, coding, summarization, all these capabilities. And you can see the basically scoring here. But if you click list view, now you can select any model that you have. And from here, you get to see, okay, what's the AI quality when it generates the outputs? What's the estimated cost? The cost is very important in agentic development because you need to analyze, okay, what's the benefit of this agent? If there is too much cost and there is not that much benefit, you might need to rethink to understand which model or which tool you should use. And latency also is important, like high latency. So There are some models if you use, let's say, like deep reasoning models, like latency is high. That means that it doesn't generate the response right away. So you need to keep that in mind based on use cases and throughput, looking for generated tokens per second. Higher is better. So now if I come back to Azure AI Foundry, I would like to do hands-on here, but sometimes I get some challenge with the Azure, the Cloud Shell. So if I click like any agent that I have, I can go to Playgrounds. Let me show the model endpoints first. So in this agent, I have two models deployed, one GPT-4o, and you can see here, I can get the target URL, you can see the details, and you can see the authenticate, like the API keys. It's very important because if you deploy this to your client app, you will need all this information. But now if I come back to details again, I can deploy another model or deploy fine-tuned model. So again, like depends on your use case, you would typically go to deploy base model, and you can select from here what kind of tasks that you expect LLM will do. And in this case, this is like inference tasks. I can select chat completion because that's the main task that I expect agent. But again, that's gonna be depend on your use cases like conversational AI, custom extraction, data generation, and so on. Now, if I go to Playgrounds, you can just basically, this is kind of similar to your test pane in Copilot Studio, but let's go to Chat Playground. In the Chat Playground, I can interact with the agent similar way. And I can add my data here and the data sources. This can be your Azure AI search. Let's say if you connect to structured data, I always recommend using Azure AI search because that's going to use embeddings or retrieval augmented generation. Instead of text search, it will look at the embeddings, which is basically the numbers, to find the not only keywords but relevant information. In ideal scenario, though, you would use hybrid approach. That means that both RAG as well as semantic indexing. It can be stored in Azure Blob Storage, URL, upload files, etc. So upload files, I'll be honest, I don't use that much because the most of the data that I use, it's typically coming from Azure Blob Storage, and upload files, even though it's good, but it's static. So if there is update, you need to update it here as well. So the parameters, you can define all this like maximum response temperature as well. And if you go to section here, add section, like you can add save the system message. This is very important. And this is actually, I saw this yesterday and I was super excited because when we talk about the prompt engineering, one key piece there is not only like instructions, but also the examples. Like there is one-shot example, few-shot examples. So you not only give the agent instructions, but you give it some responses, like typically what user would ask and how agent would generate the best response. So we have few minutes left, but I want to talk about also Windows AI Foundry, but the similar concept, you can test your agent here and you can deploy this agent to your web and so on. And you can actually, there are like dynamic way to connect, like you can use Python and deploy your agent to your client application and use certain features, for example, code interpreter. And during that runtime, Python would generate the code and interact with the agent in a safe way using thread. So I'll go back to our presentation. So when and why use Azure AI Foundry? So access to broad model catalog. So again, like you have seen like more than 11,000 models, right? So depends on your use cases, you would use that. LLM fine-tuning. So one of the benefits of Azure AI Foundry, it has LLM fine-tuning where you can train or fine-tune the large language models. There is a specific format you would need to use JSON line. Advanced retrieval and knowledge integration, like Azure AI Search, for example, is part of Azure AI services. So you have like native integration there. You can see the benefit there. Enhanced capabilities with Azure AI services, like you can work with Azure document management, you can work with Azure AI vision, and so on. So all these services available there, all you need just connect and use it. And the similar concept, you can use different frameworks, for example, semantic kernel for different orchestration as well. So let me show, okay, these are some of the services you can use, like Azure OpenAI, Azure AI Vision, Azure AI Speech, like all these are dedicated services. So you see like bringing them, and sometimes you need to actually train these like AI Vision, AI Translator. It basically makes your LLM more precise, like the answers will be precise. So that's been said, let's go to our local AI. So basically, Windows AI Foundry is a suite of local AI APIs, enables developers to add AI-powered features in their Windows applications. And this is very interesting because you have pre-built models there. For example, Facilica, you can use for text generation. You have image detection. You have like OCR models, which can extract text from images, from PDF files. But you can also connect to Azure AI Foundry and download any LLM from that model catalog and use it free. So the best part of this tool is, of course, you need to get the device, but all of these services within that device will be free. So you don't have to pay those costs. And there is also Facilica I mentioned. This is a small language model designed for text generation, natural language understanding. Similar way you can bring knowledge retrieval, like you can bring different knowledge sources, and you have Windows machine learning here where you can start creating like this prediction. And it also works with, mainly works with NPU. NPU means neural processing units. These devices specifically designed for AI development and machine learning. So you got to see these benefits. And so if you look at the future is gonna be hybrid AI. So you have AI solutions in cloud and you have AI solutions in local. So you probably hear from some companies, they're like, we haven't started our AI journey because we don't want to expose our data into cloud. So that means that they can use local AI. So in the local AI, they don't have to store any data or build agentic solutions in cloud. They just need to develop Windows applications and add these capabilities there. So I truly believe that future is really hybrid AI. So I think we have few minutes left, 5 minutes. Let's say the potential use cases, let's say in healthcare, it's a perfect example. So you have a device where you can start scanning some information and process it using your local device and securely. Again, like there are some organizations, especially healthcare, they are like, we don't want cloud AI. We just want to make sure that everything's stored in our local device. So these are some of the use cases that you can use. So hopefully this was helpful, and I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.